Breaking Bread Podcast. Breaking Bread Podcast. Ooh, Breaking Bread Podcast. Breaking Bread Podcast. Ooh, Breaking Bread Podcast. Breaking Bread Podcast.
We
I
have
like
a
that.
same episode for you guys today, you know. Like a Mr. Rogers opening, you know?
Listen, and that is a very 90s sitcom way to do that, right?
Right.
Like you have, back in the 90s in these sitcoms, you had these explicit openings, like these, like, we want you to know that you're watching Family Matters, so we're
Right.
going to set up
Maybe
this
you need
intro
like
joke.
a jingle or something to start the show. Like, ba-da-do-da-da, like breaking bread.
Breaking Bread.
Can you hit that for me one more time?
Yeah.
Hit that for me one more time.
Ba-da-da-da-da.
Welcome to the Breaking Bread Podcast, good people. We are glad to have you, and we have the electric Elora with us today. So what we going to do is I ain't even going to sit here and give you the story up front after we just got done talking about these intros, right?
Right.
We're going to pass the mic to you. Lee and Derek here, bringing you the best, the brightest out here in the Triangle. We're here with Elora, talented musician, songwriter, artist, producer, just made of magic and fairy dust. So we're going to pass this to you. Tell the good people out there a little bit about yourself.
All right. So it's funny because we've been talking all day already. So
Right.
it's like I'm telling you guys, but you already know all about me at this point. But I am a singer, songwriter, musician from Chapel Hill. I went to Appalachian State and where I did my music degree in music business. So I really like being involved in many aspects of music. I like to produce my own music. I like to be part of that creative side. I like to write all my own music and write chords. And I'm a music theory nerd. But I also really like to be involved in like the community and like putting on events and booking shows. And that's kind of what my degree was music marketing. So I really enjoy that aspect of it too. And I teach voice lessons. People ask me, they're like, so what do you do outside of music? And I'm like, that's all I do. I like just play music and I hang out with my pets. I love animals. I have 2 cats and a dog. So that's kind of all I do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, one of the things that I was interested in was the music theory piece, right? I remember being in high school, I was in band and things like that, and I actively avoided music theory class because I was like, oh my God, this is so hard.
Yeah, I feel like that
it's
happens
scary,
a lot.
right?
What is
Yeah.
music theory?
Yeah.
What is
It's
it?
kind of like just like the science behind music,
Okay.
or like in math you have different equations. It's
Mhm.
kind of like that, just applying it. I find that it's really similar to math actually, just the way that we talk about things in numbers and stuff. And I took AP music theory in high school, and I did not understand it back then. I was like, I want to learn it, but like I just did not get it. Like it did not click with me. And, I took the exam. I got a 3 on the exam. So I passed it, but and I think if I took it now, I'd probably do a lot better on it. Just because when I got to college, I took what was called contemporary musicianship. They didn't have us take like music theory classes as intensely for the program that I was in. It was more geared towards our major, which was music business. So they wanted us to obviously know music theory, but we didn't have to deep dive necessarily. I kind of ended up doing that by myself because I just really interested in it. Just knowing how everything works together and the reason why sounds like click in our brains more than others. And just like learning about like the actual science behind it. Like, what are the sound waves doing? Why are these sound waves together? Why do these work for us? And I could go into it. I could go on a tangent. Me and all my bandmates are all huge music theory nerds, so we're always nerding out about that stuff. And I'm like, have you guys heard of this thing called a wolf fifth? And they're like, what? What is that? And then
What is
we're
a
talking-
wolf fit?
Honestly, I don't know. It's like a weird tuning. Basically, there's like okay, so let me try to explain this. So on a piano, right? We have something called equal temperament. So like when you hit the note C down here, sounds similar to a C up here. It's not like, obviously one is a lot higher than the other, but they're both C, right? And there's other kinds of tunings that are technically more consonant, like they sound more like harmonious to our brains because For example, like a fifth. Like, okay, so if you have do, re, mi, fa, sol, do, sol, if you have those two notes together, right? They're 5 notes apart. If you have it, so a fifth is, I think, a 3:2 ratio. So that one sound wave's going like 3 and one sound wave's going at 2, right? When you have something that's equal tempered, it's actually not a perfect like 5 notes apart. One, like your top note's going to be slightly flat or sharp. I don't know exactly the numbers for it, but in order to get that exact ratio and not something like slightly different from it, you would actually tune that like a little bit flat, and that's technically the most like harmonious version to our brain because of those sound waves being like those even numbers. You know what I'm saying? So like, the most okay, for example, like an octave, if you have like C here and C here, this sound wave's moving twice as fast as this sound wave. And that's why those sounds work so well together. And our brains can understand them. But when you have two notes that are right next to each other, it's like 15 against 16. So they're moving really close together. And that's why you kind of hear like a vibration in the air when you hear two notes against each other.
Oh, that's interesting.
But anyway, I could get into a lot of stuff about music theory.
That is awesome. That is awesome. It took me back. I can hear Mr. Richardson right now.
That just made me realize I would have failed that class too.
But it's like I try to explain it to my students because I want them to, especially as singers, I think singers don't always feel like they need to know theory, or maybe a lot of people just feel intimidated by music theory because it is kind of hard to understand until it clicks, and then everything kind of makes sense. But I want my singers to know music theory so that they're able to communicate with other people, other musicians, if they're in a band or if they're leading a choir, whatever it might be, whatever situation they're in. I want to make sure that they are like well-rounded and versatile, and they're able to do everything they want to do.
That's really fly. And for those good people out there who are maybe interested in lessons and things like that, how can they find you in the social media space?
Yeah, so if you look up my name, Elora Dash, on Google, you'll find me. It's spelled Elora. I'm sure it'll be in the title of this podcast episode. So if you Google that, you'll find me. My email, my phone number, all that stuff is out there. I have a website, and you can reach out to me there. I teach lessons in Carborough, North Carolina, and also in Cary.
That's really cool. So do you have like a preferred instrument to teach? Like, for example, do you prefer piano, violin? Like what's in your repertoire?
Yeah, I also play piano. I grew up playing piano, keyboard and stuff. I would say my primary instrument is vocals. That's like the thing I feel like I'm the most proficient at. And I'm okay on the keys. I know enough about it to teach someone like the basics. Once it gets to more that like intermediate stuff, I'd like to pass that person on to someone who knows more than me, But it is a really nice visual for like all the stuff that I'm talking about. Like when I'm thinking about the distance between two notes or something, like for example, if I'm messing something up in a song, I'll ask somebody, hey, what are the two notes right there? Just so I can figure out where in the scale they are. So I can be like, okay, so this is the reason why I'm jumping up here. It's a bigger jump than I'm thinking it is. Now that I know that, I can get that note a little bit more in tune.
Gotcha.
So just having that visual of the piano and knowing about piano is very helpful for that kind of thing.
So being that deep into music, as far as like music theory and everything, does that slows down your process of making music because you're so deep in the weeds more?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing too. I think there's some of us that get so wrapped up in the music theory stuff that we kind of maybe let go of some of the creativity. And sometimes you need to just turn off your brain. And this happens in my lessons a lot where I'll be telling my student, okay, think about this, and they're trying to do that, but then I can see that they're like really concentrating. I'm like, okay, just close your eyes, turn off your brain, only use your ears, only like really channel to just this sense, and then they get it right because it will come naturally. Most human beings can sing a tune and like know rhythm and stuff. It's like ingrained into our bodies, and so sometimes you do have to just turn off your brain and just let the creativity come and not think too much about, the theory behind it. I enjoy knowing it because it kind of just makes it like quicker for me to like think of, okay, what chords would work next to this one that I'm on. But there's no rules. There's no right or wrong answer. You can do whatever you want.
Right.
I think some people are like music theory purists and they believe there are rules, especially like the classical, like, the people that taught it to us and some of the people that taught it to us in school. they're like, oh no, this is like the only way, that it's not possible for it to be this way. But there's so many genres and so many like types of music around the whole world, and everybody has a different way of sort of communicating. And so, you know, people on the other side of the world aren't necessarily thinking and like communicating about music in the same way. It's all kind of the same ideas, but said different ways, right? Because music is kind of universal in that way. But you don't want to get too caught up in you know, the math, right? You want to be able to just like, you know, let the answer come to you.
Yeah, it's art, not math.
Right, exactly.
It's funny you said it, because I think music is one of those spaces where, you know, it goes by generations and decades and stuff like that. And then it's always the which generation is better than this one, or y'all don't do it like we used to do. And it's like, it's about creativity, like you said. And, you know, you can get deep into the weeds sometimes. Not even the weeds, but just like you said, the quote unquote purists. And it's like, hey, you forget that it's still an art form too. And they're like, you know, maybe it's something different than you're used to, but it's just their expression. Right. You know, and just because it sounds weird or funky to do, doesn't mean they won't taking it seriously.
Yeah, right.
You know,
and sometimes it's about instrumentation too. It's like you might have a set of chords that need a different instrument to sound right, you know, and maybe if you're playing it on a guitar and the rhythm is different than you might play it on a piano, and, you know, just changing an instrument or adding an instrument or taking something away can make such a big difference too, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. So good people, we are here with at Elora Dash. That's where we can find you on
yes,
IG.
Elora.wave on IG.
Elora.wave on
yes,
IG.
like the file type.
Like the file. Listen, oh, you just unlocked a memory for me.
Dot wave.
Man.
Not
so
dot MP3. Wave.
Dot
Wave file. We're on the high quality.
High quality stuff. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, back when you had to walk uphill both ways in the snow to get to the data center, I remember that because when I was making beats a long, long time ago, I distinctly remember everything has to be output in wave. We don't everything, because it's just a larger file type. It's better quality, right? So when you said that, I was like, wow, memory unlocked. I'm looking at my collegiate dwelling as we speak. That little Lenovo laptop, that little desk I got from Walmart. Man, that's awesome.
Maybe you got to get back to the beats.
Man, I'll tell you this. I miss it. It's one of the things that I really enjoyed doing.
I don't think you ever told that story on the pod about who you met.
Oh, man.
You need to tell that story.
Oh, man. Once again, once upon a time, a long time ago. So back when we were at A&T, you know, we dibbled and dabbled in some music, did some production. And one of my really good friends, shout out to the homie Chris. Chris, what up, bro? I see you. He also did our logo.
Shout out to
Super
Chris.
talented man, just insanely talented guys. Myself, himself, and my homeboy Brandon, we were just all getting together, decided we're gonna try this music thing. And it started because my cousin had a version of Fruity Loops on a laptop. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm bored. I started playing with it. And then over time, as I really started to learn it and understand it, then between that and Cool Edit Pro, so we were out here sampling illegally, like everybody does.
Right.
Listen, we're in college, man. We're not clearing no samples.
Right.
It's just not happening. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, we stay
It's
away
going
from
on SoundCloud, you know, it's gonna be okay.
Right. I mean, listen, we out here standing out front of the Target, handing out CDs. It's gonna be fun. So,
awesome.
And it was funny because, you know, we did it for a little while and we were actually good at it. When I look back at it now, my friends and I joke, like, the beats we were making 25 years ago, we were just ahead of our time. It's stuff that you're hearing today. Literally, one of my other friends sent me a post of this guy, so we all kind of had our own thing. So Chris, and again, I'm convinced if he wanted to, he could produce for a major label tomorrow. That dude has some gold on that hard drive. He won't let it go. But, you know, hey, he's an artist. That's his prerogative, right? But the man is uber talented. He was deep in the soul samples. Could nobody deal with him on the soul samples. I'm telling you. He was like that. You know, I was into just whatever. Like, our joke was we'll sample anything. Man, we've made beats from Sonic the Hedgehog samples.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Street Fighter samples, stuff that we would hear. Like, anything that, if we liked it, it was getting loaded in the Cool Edit.
Yeah.
So we had a little momentum. And we actually opened up for Currency.
Wow.
I mean, it was nuts. One day we got the call. Chris was plugged in with Next Level, a group out there in Greensboro. So they were like, yeah, you know, we want you to open up a Currency. We did that and it was like, wow. You know, at the time, just a bunch of broke college students, you know, we didn't realize the gravity of it. We didn't realize how big of a cosign that was. And, you know, once we graduated college, we all went our separate ways because we were hungry and poor. And, you know, and then, you know, I got off into corporate America and everybody kind of did their own thing. I mean, we still hang out together to this day. But like you said, Elora, I got the itch one day. I was like, I'm going to try this again. Pulled out the Mac,
Yes.
found a version of Fruity Loops, and realized if you don't use it, you lose it. I was like, I knew what I wanted to do. I was getting frustrated because I couldn't execute it with the speed that I used to be able to do
Yeah.
it. So it's something that I think I'll pick up one day. Maybe a hobby I'll pick up with my girls, my two children, and
Yeah,
kind of
that'd be awesome to teach it to them.
Yeah,
It's really
'cause-
hard to learn, like the DAWs and stuff.
Yes,
So, yeah.
like, and we had it down to a science. There was a lot of collaboration, knowledge share. Somebody would figure out things, and we were in there. We were not only making the beats, we were mixing them in Fruity Loops. We were doing stuff back then that people are doing today. We were mixing them down in there. We were, we were doing all kinds of stuff. We were phasing, we were edging, we were doing all
but
kinds
you
of
ain't
stuff.
tell her the story about the producer.
The producer?
Yeah.
Which one you talking about?
The one you told me about that you and Shabir worked with.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, that one.
That story. That's the story I was talking
Oh,
about.
my bad. That one, yeah, and that is
You let
crazy.
him tell that whole story.
That is
That's not
crazy.
even what I was talking about.
Look, man, shout out to my guy Derek. He's so patient. He's just like, yeah, baby. Yeah, bless his heart. Yeah, he gonna get there. Just keep on going. I'm over here like, all right. He's like, yeah, just keep on going.
It was still a good story though.
Right. Oh, thank you. So this was even better. So another one at home, again, at the height of all of this, making beats or whatever. And so my homeboy Shabir did some music back in the day. And so he threw a party for his album release. He dropped the album. And he was like, yeah, this dude from St. Louis, I think he said St. Louis, like, this dude from St. Louis hit me up. He saw what I like this. And I was like, what's his name? He's like, oh, it's the dude named Metro. I was like, okay. I ain't think nothing of it. Right. So we go to the party, met Metro. He was cool. And he was like, that man looked me in my face and said, yo, because everything on the album was hot. We all worked on it together. It's not like we were collaborating. We just kind of turned our stuff in. He was like, yo, man, like, I like what you did. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a huge conversation. It was just in passing. Like, yo, your beats was fly. You did this. And we were going back and forth. A few weeks later, I see online, it was like, oh, yeah, Metro is going to, I can't remember the label, is going to this label. And the Metro I'm talking about is Metro Boomin. Drake's
Dang.
producer, like Future's producer, like the Metro Boomin.
Dang.
And that dude was so kind. He was so
That's
nice.
so important.
He was so nice. At the time, of course, he wasn't the super duper producer he is now. And I'm a huge fan of Metro Boomin. Like that. Like I anybody who knows me knows Southern hip hop. That's that's very near and dear to me. And it's just so interesting. And I look back, and I guess this is a story. Good people, young people, people out there following your dreams. The only difference is he kept going. Like that man looked me in my face and was like, "That's hot." And I was like, "Cool." Fast forward 20 years later, he probably in a G5 right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, if you got the talent, you got the drive, you got the dedication. And the second thing here is just kindness. I cannot say this enough. And then I saw somebody posted something on IG. I can't remember what the post was. I think it was him talking about like collaborating and connections or something like that. I don't want to misspeak on the man. But it was something in a positive manner. And I went in the comments myself, and I never do this. And I was like, no, I'm trying to tell y'all. I met this dude. I stood in a room with him. This dude was cool. Like it wasn't no ego involved, nothing like that. So
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, man. Like,
That's dope.
so what's the moral of this story? Maybe you need to go buy a copy of Fruity Loops. But it ain't about me right now. It's about Elora Wave. Listen, so, concerts, shows, all that good fun stuff. We're going to pivot back to that in a moment because we want to get to this first segment of the show. So the first segment of the show is I Cannot Be Convinced. Basically, we're just going to take a position on something, a little lighthearted banner. And I got something for our folks out here on the 440s and 540s of the world in Central North Carolina. I cannot be convinced that these folks out here can't drive. You hear me? You think traffic, you think DC, New York, Baltimore, things like that, right? The traffic here is not only is it thick, but everybody's speeding. Everybody. I'm talking about you're driving on 540, the speed limit 70. I'm already doing 85. So I'm already in violation, right?
See, I drive like a grandma. I'm in the minivan going like.
Do you get
65.
tailgated and stuff a lot?
People do not like when a minivan passes them. Let me tell you, especially when it's a
They
big
don't.
truck.
That's very true. They
Like
do not
I
a
go to
minivan.
pass. They're going 65. Maybe I'm going 70. So I get in the left lane to pass them, and it's a truck, and they just speed up, and I'm just like, listen, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, okay? I'm just going faster than you. That's all.
That is a true story. A van pass. She's like, hold on now.
Wait, let me. How fast am I going? Hold on.
And that is so funny. Like, people out here, they just be tailgating, they flying. And I mean, listen, whatever floats your boat. I'm not sitting here telling people to slow down. That's not what I'm saying.
I'm saying that. Please slow down.
Laura said I need to slow
I'm
down.
scared.
She'll sing you a jingle if you'd like.
Can you please slow down? You know that?
You're so good at that.
You are so gifted. That was just so easy.
Listen, just off the cuff.
Right.
We love it. Well, I'm gonna see if we can get 2 more of those for the episode.
Right.
But yeah, so I cannot get convinced, man. These folks out here in Central North Carolina, guys, man, listen, y'all can't drive y'all tailgate. You don't let people in. You don't care nothing about a turn signal. You see somebody with a turn signal on, you're trying to close gaps. We all gonna get there, player partner. We gonna get there.
We're gonna get there. What's the rush?
We gonna get there. We gonna get there. Listen, if you weren't taking so long getting that Captain Crunch this morning, you wouldn't be late.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Hey, man, sometimes everybody ain't left lane material, though.
Hey, listen.
I'm just saying, everybody's not left lane material.
Everybody's not
I'm,
left
I'm a
lane
middle.
material.
I'm a middle lane girl.
See,
myself.
I'm lucky lefty all day. I'm on that left lane.
Right. I do believe I do believe in the left lane, but I'm telling you, man, everybody's not left lane material. That is a bar.
It's like, stay out of the left lane if you're not gonna.
Right.
Because the
look.
left lane is for crime.
The left lane's for crime. That's hilarious. Very true.
Go ahead, put it on the t-shirt. The left lane.
The left lane is for crime.
The left lane's for crime. You know, there's
We
another
got one
jingle.
more coming. We got one more.
I'll take the royalty check.
Yep. Just make sure you're in the left lane when we get it. Oh man.
I think, okay, shoot. Do you want to go? Can you not be convinced? Do you have one?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about this because I remember you mentioning that,
Uh-huh.
and it actually relates to what we were talking about earlier. I cannot be convinced that the music industry has to be cutthroat. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, I don't think it has to be like that. I think a lot of people think, like, oh, like if you're in music, everyone's like competing with each other, and like maybe there are people like that. You know, there's musicians who think they're better than others, or they hear somebody play and they're judging them, whatever. Like, and I get it. Sometimes that's very automatic, but I don't think it has to be like that. Like, I think it's really important to have kindness, like you said,
Mhm.
and it will take you a long way. Like, I find the people in the industry that I've met, the number one thing when you're like, what's a piece of advice you would give to somebody who's trying to get into the industry, whether that's the business side or the like music side, they're like, be a good hang, and that means be nice to everybody, and like,
Right.
don't be weird, don't be like, mean to people, like treat everyone with kindness. And those are the people I think that go the furthest, because I just do my best to be friends with everybody. It's like I was telling y'all earlier, once we're mutuals on Instagram, we're best friends. you know?
Besties forever.
Yeah.
Daggone it, just be reasonable.
Yes.
Right. I
Just
think
be
I agree with
reasonable.
that. Like, I think it goes in just life. Like, be a decent person carries you a long way. You don't have to
Mhm.
cut throat. You don't have to, go behind somebody
You
back.
don't have
or-
to compete.
Yeah,
There's enough
you don't
room
have
for
to
all of
compete.
us.
And even if you do have to share some bad news with somebody, you can just be transparent about it. It's not a
Mhm.
bad
Honesty.
situation. Yeah,
Mhm.
we do it. Shoot, the industry I work in 9 to 5. We got to do something like, hey,
Yes, sir.
we got to make a call sometimes. You know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
And there's
and
a
it's-
kind way to do it.
it's a kind
yeah.
way to
Yeah.
do it. It's okay. Like, I just think people they assume the worst and then avoid it. It makes it worse to even have those conversations, or like you said, cutthroat. If you focus on your craft and artistry, the people you're supposed to attract is going to attract you. It's the same
It's
way
true.
like when we doing the podcast.
Mhm.
We're not chasing people. We're not chasing people because of, oh, they got 20,000 followers. We got to have them on the show. Oh, this
Mhm.
person got 80,000 followers. This person do. It's like, yo, do you align with what we're doing in this podcast?
It's about
Do
the
we think
vibes.
you're dope? Exactly. It's
Mhm.
about
Exactly.
the vibes.
Mhm.
And that's what me and Lee are always about. It's not about who you like your, I guess your what's the word I'm looking for?
Clout.
Thank you. I
Yep.
cannot think of it. Yeah.
Yep.
It's not about your cloud. It's about do you align with what we're doing? Are you aligning with what the story we're trying to tell about what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mhm.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you fly, we gonna find you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we-
And that's
Exactly.
that's really the point.
The opportunities will come to you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, if you're out there and you're fly, we want to talk to you.
For
because,
sure.
that's really what this is about, to give that
Mhm.
voice to people. And it's also cool to just meet fly people,
Yeah.
right? Like, this is the best job in the world. I get to
Yeah.
sit in a room with great mood lighting and make jokes with fly people all
Right.
day.
The,
All
vi- the
day.
vibes are here. For
Right.
Sure.
Right. The vibes are here. So, I totally agree with y'all, man. I
Yeah.
totally agree.
Let's see. I'll be having like 10 in my mind.
Going through the database.
I'm going through the database.
You probably
in my-
think of a few every time you do one of these
Oh, for
episodes,
sure,
right?
For sure, for
You
sure.
gotta think.
Sometimes then this one just hit you right then. You be like, you know what? I got something to say about. And so here's my other day, because we talked about this. I cannot be convinced that mosquitoes belong on this earth. There's no need.
Me either. I'm with you.
You know, I know they say everything in this ecosystem has a place and a purpose, or, you know, if they get taken away, it's going to disrupt the ecosystem of this world. Somebody tell me what mosquitoes do.
I think that we'd be okay with that.
Well, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
we'd be okay with that.
I think, you know, there are other
all
bugs.
they do is cause death, but they illegally transfer people blood.
Illegal.
Right,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
That is true.
They're in the
With
left-
mosquitoes, I want my royalties,
Right,
Right.
They-
They're in the left lane for crime right now.
right. Exactly. Just what men do. It's like you try to have a cookout. It's nice, especially on a cool, probably 80, 70 something. Now you outside, and then all of a sudden you gotta be like, pow, like damn.
Oh my god.
And now you scratch it for the next 2 days.
I will be outside for like 10 minutes and have like 10 mosquito bites. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Oh, they try to
crazy.
kidnap you.
Literally, they're trying to drain me completely.
Yeah, I mean, they just need to hand you a ransom.
I'm
Laura,
like,
get in the van.
oh
Let's get in the van.
Get in the van.
You can get in the van and we can all bite you at the same time and pick you up and carry you off. What
It's
you want
like
to do?
about to happen. Yeah, like it's terrible.
That's what I'm saying. They trash. Like, what do you do for this world outside of eat? You know, take everybody blood. You give some people diseases because you ain't clean. You know, it's just
Right.
like
I guess the
no way.
spiders eat them, but the spiders got other bugs
That's
to
what I'm about to say.
eat.
They got plenty of food.
Right? Exactly.
they
We
got
we
plenty.
would be okay. I know it's all God's creatures or whatever, but I think we'd be okay.
Where do they go during the wintertime? Are they like I don't know where they
Yeah,
hide. Do they hide on
do
the
they
ground?
hibernate?
Do they
Yeah,
have a
what is
nest? Like I really
Like
you never seen where they go.
where do the cicadas go? Do they go where they go?
That's a great question.
Don't they go in like who knows? Do
I
they
don't know.
migrate? Like
That's a great question.
Where do
Like,
they go?
what's the
Can they just-
lifespan? Is it just like,
can they just stay there?
Right.
Like, wherever
Yeah,
they go?
That's what I'm saying because they disappear in the winter.
yeah, maybe it's the lifespan thing, but it's like, yeah, but you're right. They don't go extinct. They got to go somewhere.
They gotta
Like,
go somewhere.
that is so interesting.
We guys need to
Somebody,
bring like a scientist on the podcast to answer that question.
Right.
hey, science.
That's
Come
science.
to the show. We got snacks. For fans of the show, that is a running
That's a
joke
running joke.
throughout all of our episodes. We should start an Easter egg hunt. Like we should do something like that. Like, hey, give me like the top 5 of these moments, and
Right.
then we'll give you a T-shirt or something. We'll come up with something
We got
fun for that.
snacks. Is that what it is?
Yeah, so basically somebody will say something and then it'll be a good, and I always interject and I like point in the camera and I'm like, insert name here. So that's my invite to the show. I've
Right.
invited like J. Cole, like Beyonce. Like I'm just talking to people, hey, so, but I always end it with, we got snacks. So, you know,
Convincing.
yeah, exactly. It is convincing and it's gonna work one day.
Right.
One of these days, I'm waiting for the DM to be like, hey, I saw your impassioned plea to come to the Breaking Bread
Yeah.
podcast. And then I could say, hey, look, we got Beyonce.
Yeah,
And
Beyonce's
here's
be like,
the
y'all
snacks."
free Saturday?
Yeah, Beyonce. I'm sure we can work that out. Like
I'm
think-
free at midnight on a Monday if need be.
Man,
for
like I said,
Beyonce.
man,
Every
let me
time
tell
you want,
something,
man.
right, ma'am. I will be there. You understand me?
What you need us at? On Mars? We there.
And I'll be on
Right.
40 in the left lane. You heard me? Mr. Officer, I know it looks bad.
Right.
But Beyonce.
Beyonce called.
Sir, I know it's gonna sound crazy, okay? But I'm a co-owner of this podcast, right? And Beyonce hit us up and told us that if we can get to the studio in like an hour, that she would give us 30 minutes of her time.
Right.
Yes, I know I was doing 110 on 540, but so was that Prius over there. Can you just let me get? You want to come?
He's like,
you want to
like-
come, Mr. Officer? We got snacks.
He's like, sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle.
I'm like, just follow me there. Just follow me there.
Like,
Bro,
for
bro,
real.
just
you
believe
can
me.
drive me there.
Yeah.
You can drive. You
I
can drive.
promise
you
you,
drive.
you're gonna trip out when you see.
I'm telling you. And then we bring
You can have snacks too.
Yeah, we bring snacks for you too. And then we bring him in. And then at the end of the episode, the police officer's like, yo, he wasn't lying. It was really Beyonce.
Usually they're lying, but this time he wasn't.
I'm telling you. Hilarious. We are here with the multi-talented Elora Dash. Listen, so talk about some of your shows and performances. So tell us about like,
Venues?
what's it like? The venues. Where do you like to perform? When you're staying, we go to shows all the time and we see these artists up there doing their thing. What's it like to look out amongst the masses? And one of the things that I've always wondered about, I think this is true, but y'all can see the first few rows of people. You can see faces, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, what's that like knowing, wow, all these people came for me to display this talent?
It's weird in some ways because sometimes I struggle with being perceived, like, period. I'm like, wow, people listen to my music, or people like come to my show and think I'm cool. Like, I don't know. I think I'm a fucking nerd. Am I allowed to say the bad words? Sorry.
Oh,
Okay. But it's my favorite place in the world to be. I love to be on stage. I've been performing since I was 4 years old, and my mom used to choreograph like Bollywood dances in the community. We get all the, a bunch of little girls together, and we'd do performances twice a year. So I've danced and sang and performed my whole life, and I've never felt afraid on stage and I've never felt stage fright. Like I've felt nervous a little bit before some shows, but once I'm up there, it's like I don't know if it's the adrenaline or what, but it's like the best drug there is for me. Like to be on stage, that feeling is I think that's kind of like what decided it for me that I wanted to like pursue it because it's the only thing like as far as like jobs go that I never am like, oh, I don't want to do this. You know, it's like I always am excited to do it and I always feel amazing when I'm on stage and I also feel like it's one of the only things I'm good at. So I'm like, yeah, this feels like an obvious choice to me. It's hard to commit to it because it's a hard industry to break into, obviously. But I think I got my start as like playing with bands when I lived in Boone and I went to App State. There's a really rich music scene in Boone. It's a very small town and it's sort of by itself. So like we're kind of we ended up kind of being like a self-sustaining like industry and it became just like the cool thing is to just go to a show and like every bar has like a little stage and you know it's pretty small scale but it's really fun and so I started kind of like in the DIY scene is what they call it. It's like usually more like alternative genres are like part of that. And DIY just means do it yourself, right? So like just shows that are put together by the community, not by any like corporate entity or whatever it might be. And it's interesting to see like living in the Triangle now, like there's kind of a separation between like the band scene and like the like hip hop, rap, R&B scene because you've got people who you know, they sing with a DJ or to a track, or maybe they're just mostly like studio artists where they're putting out music but not playing a ton of shows. And then you've got people who are just playing shows for a living. That's basically what I'm doing. You know, I'm trying to actually cut down the amount of shows that I play in the area, just to kind of like, you know, keep people wanting to come. If I'm playing all the time, then that's just too. I'm like oversaturating the market, you know. So I play a lot of solo gigs, and that's what makes the money. You know, solo, duo, strip back stuff, where I'm just like playing in a brewery. But the most fulfilling ones are definitely the full band shows where we're playing like almost all original music, and we're playing with other bands who are doing the same thing. And I love curating a bill and like bringing bands together that are like different enough to give everyone like a different taste of something, but also like similar enough to where like you have the right vibe going the whole night. And so I really want to like bridge the gap between like I would love to have a bill where like my band plays and then like maybe like a rapper with a band plays and then I don't know maybe some other genre plays and like you know and everyone in the room can appreciate all three. Because I think it is kind of separate right now, at least in this area. And I know that like I mentioned, like some people are you know, making music, putting out music all the time. They're in the studio all the time, but they're not performing as much. And sometimes that's just a matter of getting the musicians together. It can be expensive to like play shows because really good musicians, they're going to charge you a couple $100s each. I try to make sure that my band gets paid, even if that means I don't get paid. And I'm totally fine with that because I want to make sure that they're fed and happy. And I just love them all and want them to keep playing with me. They're all so talented. So that's like my priority with the band is whenever we play full band shows, I want to make sure everyone gets paid. And because I want my reputation to be that, you know, I take care of my fellow artists. I'm actually doing a show tomorrow at Cat's Cradle Backroom where I'm doing like a pop-up shop along with the show. I'm really trying to find some new ways to like curate bills, like I was saying, and curate shows to where it's not just you know bands playing but it's a lot of things and I want to support local vendors and local artists and I want to support my friends who are coming in on tour from Chattanooga. You know as much of that as that I can do is what I want. And I think honestly I feel like I've neglected the studio a little bit. I've been playing so many shows and we're always preparing for those shows and you know, when you have a 3-hour gig, you got to have a bunch of covers to play. And so, and you want to be tight. You want to, you know, maybe make your live show a little bit different than what the track sounds like. And so I feel like I've been focusing a lot on that the last few years. And I have original music, you know, almost 2 short albums worth at this point. And I'm working on one right now of music that I wrote a couple years ago. But it's kind of a long process. It's kind of sometimes difficult for me to like see the end for that. But I'm really enjoying the process right now. I think I get a little in my head when I'm in the studio and I'm just like, it's hard to see like what the full picture is going to be at the end. And I'm like, this isn't sounding what I want, how I want it to. And then like, I kind of get in my head about that. And I'm like, I don't know what to do to like make it sound the right way. And like I said, I want to produce all my own music and I want to bring all the ideas. And of course I ask my band what they think. And I'm like, what do you guys think this needs? And they're all playing on my music too. So they're adding their own textures to it. But it's a long process in some ways, especially when you're recording music with all like real instruments. It's different when you're making beats. It's a little bit more streamlined. You can make the beat and you can have the whole instrumental there for you to just sing on top of or rap on top of. But when you have real instruments, and I just had my friend track some strings for a song. And so all that stuff just takes time to arrange and to record and then to mix too, because mixing real drums is very different. And so, yeah, I've been focusing a lot on the live shows and I really love it. But I'm trying to honestly scale back a little bit, do more of the stuff that can pay my bills, the solo gigs and stuff while I work in the studio and try to get music out, because the goal is to start playing outside of North Carolina some more and play, just play to bigger crowds and play with different bands that I love and respect and look up to. And so that's kind of the goal in the next year, is to put this music out and then go play it for people.
That's awesome. And you said you have a couple of albums worth of material out there, right? How can they find that?
They can't. Actually. You can find it like, clips on my Instagram and stuff. But yeah, that's what I'm working on right now, is getting that music out. I have one single out right now and a remix to that single.
Disrespectful?
Yeah, disappointed.
Disappointed,
Yes.
not disrespectful. My apologies.
There's another song idea right there, though. Disrespectful. But yeah.
The Left Lane Journey.
Right,
Yes. Yeah.
We just named the EP. The
There
Left
you
Lane
go.
Journey. First
Left Lane
track.
Journey.
Disrespectful.
There you go.
There it is.
Disappointed, disrespectful. It's actually funny because my okay, I always forget about this one project that I did that's all instrumental, because it's kind of like I feel like people see it and they play, they're seeing that I'm a singer, right? And they play this album and they're like, when are the vocals coming in? It's all instrumental. They're like, why does this vocalist have an instrumental album? Like, doesn't really make a lot of sense. But it was during the pandemic. I was actually like, I started as a school project, and basically it's a 9-track collaborative. I called it a mixtape because I involved so many other people on it, and it's all instrumental, kind of like I was going for this like lo-fi hip hop kind of vibe. And so, lo-fi beats to study to type thing, although some of them are a little bit weird and maybe a little too in your face to be like chill necessarily. But yeah, I put that out in 2020. It was a really fun project, and it let me get my feet wet because I, at that point, didn't have a ton of original material. So, and I was still trying to gain my confidence as a songwriter too, because, playing an instrument, that's a skill. Singing is a skill. Writing songs is a whole separate skill too that you have to build up. And I didn't really start doing that till more recently. Like, I've been singing and playing piano for a long time. So I have years and years and years of experience on that. But for songwriting, I only have 5-6 years of experience doing that. And so I'm still practicing that and still getting better at that. And at that time, I didn't really have a lot of that, of lyrical material. So I was like, let's just make some instrumental stuff for fun. And at the time I was very inspired by, the stuff that was going on in the world with protests and things like that. And I didn't know what I could do from, Little Boone, North Carolina to help with that, other than just, spread the word about it. But I was like, what else can I do? How can I use my skills to hopefully benefit other people? And so all the money that I make from that album, I donate that to, initially it was the Minnesota Freedom Fund, I believe. But basically just I donate to places like that. Given awesome. I haven't made a ton of money from it, but I hope that when I'm able to, and I'm hoping that if my career gets to a point where I'm making enough money, I would love to do more stuff like that and donate money and raise awareness for things that I'm passionate about. And so the goal with that was to get a really diverse group of people on this project, and really center people of color on it. And so that's primarily, it's a mixed group of people on there, and I love that part about it. And I've donated a little bit of money at least, and hopefully tried to spread awareness through just like releasing that and letting people know that like this is why I did it. Because I feel like that's all I could really do. And then I have written a song about, you know, what was happening in 2020 also, that's going to be put out on my next project as well. So yeah, I kind of forget about my my little mixtape that came out, since it doesn't have like words on it, but it is a cute little, you know, 30-minute, 30-minute album.
No, I enjoyed it. I listened to it quite a few. Yeah, it's definitely a vibe. It's
Thank you.
It's funny you said that. You was like kind of hip hop lo-fi. That's what it gave me too. I'm like, this is a vibe.
Same.
Okay,
exactly
cool,
what
good.
it gave me.
I literally thought about my daughter. I was like, I'm gonna put my daughter onto this when she's studying, doing homework. And the album art is fly.
Yeah.
What's the name of the album again?
Oh yeah, I always forget to say that too. It's called Self-Actualization.
Yeah.
Self-actualization.
Which is like the meaning of that is there's something called Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which maybe you like learned about in school, but it's basically like a pyramid of like, first you need this layer of things before you can get to this layer of things, and it kind of starts with like basics like food, shelter, water, like being able to live as a human being, and then you can get to like you know, like your friendships and relationships with people, and then you can get to like, you know, furthering yourself in your career, and then the top of that pyramid is self-actualization. Now, I am nowhere near to self-actualization, you know, like that. I feel like that takes a lot of, you know, reflection and a lot of grind and a lot of work and a lot of like taking care of yourself too. But I don't know why I felt so inspired just by that idea. Just like, you know, it's very hard to get to that place. It's not impossible, and it's also not linear. Like you might have times where, you know, true. you take a few steps back and then you take a couple steps forward, and so my next album, I think I'm gonna call Self-Reflection, because I actually have a song called Self-Reflection that's just kind of about how that's an important part of, you know, growing up, is to be self-aware and reflect on yourself and know like when you're doing something wrong, and like know how to apologize to people and know how to treat people with kindness, kind of like we were talking about earlier.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So self-actualization, another running joke. Them dishes ain't going nowhere. Go ahead, pull out the Apple Music, right?
You're going to want to listen to it while you were doing them dishes, actually.
Yeah,
For real.
yeah.
Get you motivated.
Yeah, get motivated. I mean, it sounds really dope.
It
like,
is.
you know, I was listening to it earlier. It's funny because when we went out for the breaking bread part, you know, we kicking it with guests. For those who don't know, if you're a guest on the show, we take you out to lunch, we go out, we kind of get to know each other. And so when Elora got in the car, she was like, hey, I know that song. I was like, yeah, it's yours. So that was pretty dope. That was pretty dope. So we're going to move on to our second segment of the show, 2 shots and 1. So basically, you know, we're going to give you 3 questions to kind of let the people know a little bit more about you. So one of the things that was on my mind was, I know you said when you're doing a 3-hour set, you have to do a lot of covers. What song do you love to cover?
We do Plastic Off the Sofa by Beyonce from her last album.
Hey,
It's really,
Renaissance, a
really
classic.
hard song to sing, but I love
Can
the
we get an
challenge.
excerpt? Can we get an excerpt?
The last part's like, but I like it, babe. Yes, I like it, baby. I like it, I love it, baby. I love it, baby. Yeah, so that's just a little bit of that song. But it's really fun to sing, and it's really fun to play, and we cover stuff like Stevie Wonder, we cover some Amy Winehouse, some Aretha Franklin, Yeba. I love to give myself challenging things to sing, because it really challenges me to expand my range a little bit. And I tell my students this. A few years ago, I was playing in like a cover band when I was still living in Boone, and we started covering Respect by Aretha Franklin, and my voice would crack pretty much every time I sang it because it was out of my range. It's a super high song.
Yeah.
But, you know, I just kept singing it, and we kept practicing it, and I kept trying to learn how to like control my voice when I went up there. And now I feel like I can sing it without my voice cracking. I feel like I have control over it. So I like to just give myself stuff that I'm like not even able to sing at that time. And then eventually getting to that point, you know, and sometimes I eat shit in front of the crowd and my voice cracks in front of 100 people.
It's part of the experience.
But, you know, sometimes I have a joke where I'm like, if you guys hear my voice crack, no, you didn't.
Go ahead, put that on a t-shirt. Put that on a t-shirt. So, Elora, I want to take a quick sidebar with Derek Rucker. Did you hear that, Ron?
Yes,
I wanted
did.
her to finish
I
her
did.
thought because
Yeah,
she
I
went
did.
right to the. I mean, I'm talking about.
Yes.
She hit us with two and got into
It
it.
got to it.
I mean, want no warm team.
I was
won't know 'cause
amazed and envious
Listen,
at the same time.
I'm sitting in here like I thought I was at the Renaissance concert. Like
We can't afford it, so I'll sing it. I can't.
Shoot, I can't either. Listen, you saw that whole imaginary story of me begging the police officer to get out here. Right. Wow, that was amazing. Okay,
That was
so we're
amazing.
back. But I wanted you to finish that thought. But that was sensational. You sounded great.
Oh, thank you.
Like, I mean, unprovoked.
Right.
Just like, hey, can we get an excerpt? Got that posture right.
Right.
I gave it to you.
Right.
I gave you 2 or 3
Light
of them
work.
things.
Light work.
It won't even like, oh, I'm going to give you 2 seconds. Like, no, I'm going to give you a good 8, 9 seconds. You know what I mean?
A little taste, yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit. I can't give you the buffet, but I give you a little plate.
A
though.
bite,
Get you
yeah.
a little plate. Get you a little plate. Come on in here, get you a little sandwich. So we are here with Elora Dash. Good people. It's the Breaking Bread podcast. Lee and Derek, not Eric, but shout out to Eric. You can see what my mind is. I'm always thinking about my people. Shout out to Josh Nito, Zay, Weeder, everybody.
All the
Just man,
family.
listen.
Shout out to the family for sure.
Say it one more time.
Shout out to the family. Y'all know who y'all are.
Yeah, you know who he is. You know who he is. So we in the middle of 2 shots and one. So the second question that we want to ask is, what's your favorite venue to perform in your travels thus far?
My favorite venue. I'm trying to think of like what my favorite show ever has been. I think my favorite show was at Shikori Hills Festival, which I was telling you guys about
Yeah.
earlier. It's a grassroots festival out in a forest, and the vibes are just so good. Like everyone's just there to like listen to good music, and the lineup is always very diverse and talented, and it was just such a fun show, and it was our first time playing, and they put us on for two sets, which was awesome. We played Friday night and Saturday night. So it was a great opportunity for us to be in front of a bunch of new people. And I have people come up to me and they're like, I saw you at Shikori, like all the time. Like that's probably like where a lot of people in this area saw us perform. And I just love that festival. Like I volunteered at it the year before. I want to volunteer again. I'm probably going to go at least one of the days this time around because it's just such a great festival. I tell everybody about it. I'm like, if you haven't been, you need to go to this festival. But talking about venues, I would say like at least in this area, I really like Poorhouse. All the people are there very kind, and they support local music, and I love going to shows there. I love seeing shows there. I really like Cat's Cradle. I work there sometimes. I bartend there, so that's like the family. And then I'm trying to think of where else we've played at Camp North End in Charlotte, which is a really nice like little outdoor space. I would say those are. Oh, and Flatiron in Greensboro. I really like that venue. They have
Never heard of it
You
either.
guys got to check that place out because they bring some really great talent through there. It's it's a small venue, but the sound is amazing. They have very talented sound engineers there, and they record stuff for you. And honestly, as far as North Carolina venues, I've felt Jeremy at Flatiron in Greensboro is one of the best sound engineers I've worked with in one of the best rooms in North Carolina. So
That's fly.
Cool.
That's like, shout out to Jeremy.
shout out to Jeremy.
Shout out to Jeremy.
He's killing it.
We love it. So for our last question on 2 shots and one, a little bit more of a thought exercise. What's the next challenge you're going to give yourself? I love the story you told about, when I said, hey, what's your what cover do you? She's like, oh yeah, plastic off the sofa. I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, what all them rounds in there? So I was trying to be cool about it. Hopefully my face didn't give it away. I was like, yeah. Then I was like, can I get a piece? And she ran that off. Then she went to the respect.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, the range is there. So what's the next challenge for you?
I think my next challenge is taking some of these more difficult songs and using them as inspiration in my own music and like giving myself some challenging parts in my own songs, because I think it's kind of easy for me to play it safe when I write because I'm just like, humming to myself while I'm writing down lyrics, and I'm not really thinking about creating vocal moments as much, and I would like to do more of that, and I'm trying to do more of that as we're kind of like playing some of these new songs live and come up with new runs, and I don't know. I just love seeing other people like put crazy vocal moments into their music, especially like smaller artists. And you see on TikTok, I'm on Singer TikTok, so like it's all just like run challenges, runs and riffs, and like I love seeing smaller artists like really putting a focus on that. So I've been practicing a lot of that for a long time and trying to get really like have a lot of agility in my vocals, and now I would like to kind of apply that to my own music.
That is super fly. That's super fly. Because, like, you know, I love a good run, but you know what else I love in my R&B music? I
What?
like my R&B music to do two things. If you ain't begging, I'm talking about begging. I'm talking about Aaron Hall begging. I'm talking about screaming Gerald Levert
Yes.
laying on it. I love me some begging in R&B, and I love me some junk talking. You know what I mean? Like those two things. Those two things, and like you said, you very elegantly said vocal moments. And when you said that phraseology, I was like, that's exactly why. That's what I like about it, right? Like, you know, So, for example, like one of my favorite songs is "There You Go" by Glenn Jones, right? So, like, it's very melodic and stuff like that. But then when that man get to that bridge,
Okay.
like there you go. I can't sing.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. It's very rhythmic and melodic. But when that man get to begging Derek, the screaming going on, but it's in phase, it's tonal, it's how it's supposed to be.
Right.
But I'm just like, wow, I really enjoy that. And I got to think about like 90s R&B, 90s. It was a lot. There were big grandstands.
Makes you feel
almost,
things, you know?
You do.
yeah,
It makes your heart jump a little bit.
it does. It
It
gets your
does.
attention.
Everybody did have runs in begging.
Running, we begging and stuff like that.
Bending
And
Knee is literally a begging song.
the whole song. The whole
Men.
song. The whole thing. You know what I mean? Like,
About 5, was it 4 minutes? You remember that
Oh,
song?
yeah, yeah.
That's a begging song.
begging. And then and then another thing I think about when it comes to like production and stuff like that. So like one of my favorite musical eras is the 80s. I love a good synth. Like back when I was making beats, I was doing a lot of synths. And then, you know, and I was heavily inspired by Kanye when he dropped College Dropout. And thinking about those songs from the 80s, I listened to a lot of like SOS Band and Alexander O'Neal and stuff like that. Man, listen, if you really sit down and listen to Just Be Good to Me by the SOS, like don't get caught up in the, oh yeah, I remember, you know, the Pond song, I was mopping the floor at Mama House when this is coming on.
Yeah.
Just stop and listen to the band. Listen to the actual band,
Yeah.
right? The intonation. I mean, when I tell you those brothers and sisters were tight. Tight. And
I
I'm
need
like,
a link to your playlist.
and that's you know what? And that's a great way to break this. One of these days, we're going to do that. We're going to
Yeah.
we're going to collaborate with all of these wonderful artists, and we're going to build the Breaking Bread podcast playlist, and we're going to publish it. Like,
Yeah.
It's
because
going to be about 3-4 of them.
we're going to have we
you
got to
could
have flavors.
your playlist for your taste of music, and then one for your taste of music, and,
And
then
then
all
the
the
local-
artists you bring.
yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. That's a
Yeah.
great idea. That's a
Yeah.
great idea. Royalty checks on the way.
Yep.
I'm
That's right.
gonna see if I can fit all the jokes in this one sentence. Royalty checks on the way. We're gonna drive in the left lane and avoid the mosquitoes, and hopefully we don't get pulled over because we on the way back. What's on Beyonce? I think I got them all.
I think we got them all. I think we said them all.
I think
Full
we got
circle.
them all.
Yeah.
Right. So, good people, we are here with Elora Dash. One more time, tell these people how they can find you and support what you got going on.
You can find me on Instagram, elora.wave, like the file, so WAV.
Not MP3.
No, not MP3. We got to have that high quality, you know?
Got to.
My name is spelled Elora. My last name is Dash. If you Google that, you'll find me on all the platforms and Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff.
Flexing, Google me, baby.
And Google me.
Hey,
Not a lot
like
of people named Elora Dash, so that makes it easier.
You already won. We'll just leave that other part out.
Yeah, and people are like, "Is this your real name? Is this your stage name?" I'm like, "Nope, it's my name on my birth certificate and everything." My
That's
parents
cool.
knew. They were like, "She's gonna be a rock star. We're gonna give her a rock star."
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And that's an excellent segue into our final segment, the big money maker, big positive energy. So this is what we're going to do. So now, Elora, you are the host of the Breaking Bread podcast. So we're going to
Right.
turn this over to you. Derek and I are going to be the largest cheerleaders you've ever seen. Talk about anything you're happy about, proud of. Take a moment to celebrate your accomplishments. Go out here.
Reflection.
Yeah, reflection. Right.
Oh, here's my self-reflection moment.
Right.
Here you
There you
go.
go.
Here you go.
There you
Like
go.
so whatever you want, it's your show. If you feel like you want to bust out another Beyonce run, we are not mad at you. Good people, we are here with Elora. It's big positive energy. BPE. It is up. Elora, the floor is yours. Tell us about what you want us to hear.
I feel very proud to be an Indian American woman who does R&B and soul music. I feel like I don't see a lot of people that look like me doing this kind of music. And we were kind of talking about this earlier. I feel like a lot of Indian immigrants, they can be kind of strict on their kids, and it's because they love them and want them to, have financial stability in their lives, and that's the reason why they immigrated here, you know, because they had big dreams and they want to make that money, you know. And I totally understand that. Music maybe isn't the best route to go if you're trying to make a lot of money. It's like you can make a lot of money, or you can make not a lot of money. There's not a lot in between, you know what I'm saying? So it's like it's kind of risky, and I feel like there may be people in my community who don't fully understand it and like don't understand how I could commit to something where I don't like know the future of my financial comfortability, I guess. But I think it's just something, like I said, I love being on stage. I love it more than anything else. I think it's what I'm best at. I feel like I was like put on the earth to do it, to be involved in music, because I've tried a lot of different things and this has just been my favorite. And I really want to inspire other Asian kids to pursue music, whether that's, you know, making beats, whether that's being a singer, whether that's playing classical music, whether that's, you know, excuse me, I just burped. Whether that's, you know, playing gigs full time, or just doing it sometimes for fun, maybe just doing it at home and just enjoying it. Whatever that may be, I want other Asian kids to feel like that anything's a possibility for them, you know? And I want other people in my community to understand that it's possible for us to be a part of maybe these communities where you don't see a lot of us there yet. But, you know, I feel very welcomed by my community. I love being surrounded by this very diverse community we have in North Carolina of all the R&B and soul and hip hop and rap and all that stuff.
Yes,
it's
a hotbed.
Yes, there's so much talent here. There's so much diversity, and I'm just very proud to like, and also just even outside of, you know, being Asian, just being a woman, I hope to inspire other women to do the same thing, because it can be intimidating to be a woman and it's mostly guys that you're surrounded by. But I just try to carry myself in a way that's like, I don't know, I kind of just feel like a guy personally sometimes. I don't really even think about that I'm like the only girl in the room. And I hope I can like encourage other people to kind of feel that way, like have that confidence about them. Like, you know, I've dealt with people being sexist towards me and having doubts about me, you know, and not like being surprised that I like know my shit, even though I'm a woman. And it's going to happen, but you know, I just brushed that off. And like I said, nothing's going to stop me from doing this, because this is what I love to do. And I feel like I was put on this earth to do it.
Powerful. Love it. Absolutely powerful. We love it. Good people. Listen, again, I'm going to give y'all some instructions for today. All right. So before we close out the show, the first thing I need y'all to do, go ahead, go to the Instagram. This is not what I'm saying. Hey guys, go to Instagram. No, go ahead. Selma coming out now. Go ahead, go on to the Instagram. Elora.wave, not the file. Like the file. Wave, high quality, not MP3. So you're going to follow her. That's the first thing you're going to do. Then you're going to run over to that Apple Music, Spotify, whatever flavor of choice. Then you're going to run this self-actualization while you're doing the dishes or vacuuming or whatever, you know, we're doing at this moment in time where you're enjoying the Breaking Bread podcast. Wonderful talent, immense live shows everywhere. She's going back into the studio. I'm telling you, you want to get in while the price is good. I'm saying it a lot. You better, hey.
The tickets aren't going to be $15 forever.
That's what I'm saying. You better get in while the price is good. You better get in while, because me and Dad, we're going to be backstage. When she get the Grammy, I'm going to be like, hey.
That's my girl.
That's my people. That's my people. You know what I mean? I remember she got in the car and was like, oh, I know that song. Like,
we going in the left lane right now.
Left lane to the after party.
Right to the after party.
Exactly.
Like I mentioned.
We got to get to the tarmac, sir. Why are you asking us all these questions? So get in while the price good people. Listen, thank you guys so much for spending a little bit of your time, your lifespan with us. We appreciate each and every one. We heart every like, we heart every follow.
We appreciate it.
We appreciate y'all, you know, and we wanted to sit down and say this for a moment, because we talk about this off camera all the time. But you know, Derek and I really want to send out our heartfelt appreciation to, first of all our lovely guests.
Yes.
If you've ever kicked it with us, we always have a good time. You know, we're building a great community, and we're just glad that you guys are spending time with us. So thank you for joining us, Lord. Number two, good people out there, thank y'all for listening to us, man.
Yeah,
we
thank you
really
for
appreciate
rocking, man.
liking and subscribing. Remember, here's my favorite joke. It's about shapes, right? It's about shapes.
Shapes.
Get on YouTube, click the heart, then you click the bell. You need to do both shapes, hearts and bells. We need both of them, right? And we appreciate you guys for doing that, man. Thank y'all so much for joining us on the Breaking Bread podcast. Y'all be blessed. Have a good one. We out of here. But before we cut, can I get one more run?
It's Breaking Bread podcast. Yeah. That's all. That's all I got.
We have